No doubt, Manchester United have hit all-time low. How can one describe a star-studded team that appeared in the Carabao Cup against Grimsby Town? When I heard about Grimsby Town, I had to go to Google to search, to locate where the club is and what is their capacity and the kind of players that they have. But I just concluded, I said, look, United are going to run riot against this guy. Watching the Carabao Cup seated right in my living room, I was taken aback. And to see Ruben Amorim using the tactical magnet board to juxtapose where his players will be on the pitch was a complete fraud. That's the greatest fraud of the century. That a coach, me sitting in the living room, I could see where Manchester United issue were on the pitch. And Ruben Amorim, when his boys were taking the penalty kicks, he didn't have the balls to watch them take the penalty kicks. In fact, his coaching team had to cover, they had to shield him from the camera. What a mess. Oh my goodness, United. How has the mighty fallen from the top to the debris? It is unbelievable. At least today there's no Marcus Rashford. The fans aren't going to call for his head. Neither are they going to call Jadon Sancho or McTominay or say Garnacho isn't good enough. Today you have a star-studded team with players like Cunha, Mbemo, Sesko. Talking about Sesko, that guy went missing. Says what? Look, when Arsenal played against Leeds United and Victor Gyökeres that was returning back into play saw that ball that came to him and wanted to nick it and he missed it. They were already screaming that, he couldn't even score that goal. And then Sesko had a chance. He had a chance in the box. And the guy was falling like a pack of cards. And how can you sign a player close to £80 million? You're leaving him on the bench. It means the guy is not ready and doesn't have the capacity to do it. And Roberta, thank you very much for saving us from this heartache, because how could we have bared the sight of seeing Sesko going missing? Now the fact he had 22 touches against Arsenal. They were all screaming that this guy, Victor Gyökeres, spent 60 minutes and he had only 4 touches. But they forgot that in that match, Matthias de Ligt was wrestling the man the entire match period of time he was on that pitch. Now, coming to United, I saw a Grimsby Town team that were playing with smile. Even when they were playing the penalty, the coach was just smiling. Like, okay, it is what it is. Maybe at the end of the day, we're going to lose. They were unfazed. They were not scared. They took the game to United. And come to think about it, I have issue with the officiating in England. Because those guys, out of the 4 goals they scored, 2 were disallowed. One of the goals was good. It would have been 3-0 Grimsby Town United 0. And a good referee wouldn't have allowed the second corner kick to take place when United players were wrestling Grimsby Town players on their half. And yet they call Arsenal corner kick FC. But somehow they scored the corner kick through Harry Maguire. After all the wrestling and fighting and all that, trying to manhandle the Grimsby Town players. But those guys, they were unfazed. The way they were taking the ball to United, they were playing like a Premier League side. This is a team that United would have disseminated, destroyed them, if I spelled their name. But rather, they were the one that came after United. And Ruben Amorim, rather than accepting his fault, accepting the blame of his shortfall in technical knowledge, only came and said, my players spoke loud today. What does that really mean? When you sit down to juxtapose what that meaning brings to our ear, it means that the players are not down with this 3-5-2, 3-5-3 formation. Because when I watched them against Arsenal, I was upset that, look, we weren't ready because we're losing the first ball. But I now came to think about it. I said, look, how long can they continue with this intensity? It's a long journey. It's a long journey. You're going to play 36 games ahead. and you want to play with this intensity. Somehow, when I watched them against Fulham, intensity dropped after 15 minutes. Against Grimsby Town, there was no intensity. They were lost. See, the team United showcased against Grimsby Town were good enough to pay the entire salary of the squad of Grimsby Town and still have enough change to go to parties, celebrate, and party after party for the next 3 months. But yet, the team with low budget, the team with players that doesn't even have identity, no name, took United to the cleaners. Anyways, kudos to the likes of McTominay, Jadon Sancho, Marcus Rashford, and talking about players that have left United who they say is not good enough. And today they are making their mark. Garnacho is going to be a blue. He refused to go to Europe because he has something to prove to Ruben Amorim. Because he knows that if he goes to Europe, it will be difficult for him to have his vengeance over Ruben Amorim. Now, the issue with United is more endemic. It's beyond tactical progress. Because when you look at coaches that have coached the team that left and said a lot of stuff, and if you put them together, you would know that United's problem, I think, is spiritual. They need to meet some pastors. If they don't want to go to pastors, they want to go to marabouts. Let them do stuff for them and pray for them. Because that issue is beyond tactical know-how and good players. United is the only team that destroys good players. They destroy good players. No matter how good a player is, no matter how good a coach is, they destroy them. Eric Ten Hag was once a formidable coach. It was the same Eric Ten Hag that took Ajax to Europe. And he was just destroying teams. But when he came to United, he lost his frenzy. He lost his tactical know-how. Jose Mourinho, a Syria winner, came to United. And when he was leaving, he said, my biggest mistake was not carrying out the surgical operation. Ragnick left and said, look, the team need an operation, a major operation. Solskjaer came, said almost the same thing. Initially, they said, oh, it's the Glazers that are our issue. The Glazers have gone. The Ineos came with their own. I keep saying this, I've become like a rhetorical statement that they sacked 450 backroom staff and had to save money, and they're spending more money. The problem of United. Now the coach is throwing the players under the bus. A good coach would have taken the responsibility to say, I lost today, it's my making, it's my fault, we're going to correct it. Rather than to say that the players spoke loud today. You should have taken the responsibility. And that's where the guy so far, if you look at the count of how many interviews he has granted in the last 7 months or 8 months that he joined United, he has granted close to 600 interviews. He just like the microphone. I keep saying this. Maybe he should have gone for a better job after quitting Sporting Lisbon to go and become a musician now and start releasing album. Anyway, enough of United. Let me talk about Arsenal. Arsenal on one part, their trajectory is good, is on the uprising, and they're getting to do a lot of stuff right. But there's something they do always that kept me off on my seat. That is, how do you explain a situation where you buy players quite expensive, and when you're going to let them go, they go on the cheap? How do you explain a situation that either they go on the cheap or they go on the free? What is really happening? That is a shortfall in the managerial know-how of Arsenal. Jacob Kivior, whether you like it or not, was a dependable backup when Gabriel Magalhaes got injured. I'm one person that calls him panic station. But when he started playing consistently, he found his confidence and started playing very well. How would you describe a player that kept Vinicius Junior and Mbappe out when we played against them at the Emirates and also at the Bernabeu? And today he's going to Porto on loan for 26 million or 25 million euros with an option to buy at the end of the season. While we're looking at nicking the signature of Piero Reina Hincapi for 50 million euro. I just can't understand. Yes, Hincapi is a good player, he's a South American, he has a dogged spirit and all that. But why would I want to sell one of my good defenders and buy an expensive player? I don't understand. That is something we need to narrow and start working out how it's going to work out for us as a club side. In as much as we now have a mafia-like sporting director that when he marks a player you want to buy, he gets it done. We also need to nick it to start making money, just like Chelsea. Yes, we can sit here and banter Chelsea and say, oh, they're spending so much amount of money. They have 49 players in Europe, blah, blah. But when they want to sell, they make a lot of money. We bought Noni Madueke for how much? £52 million. We bought Kai Havertz for how much? £65 million from them. They're making money. In as much as they buy these players very expensive, they still get their money. So that is something we need to look into, because this is really getting me edgy, because I can't understand the parity. Why? Look at the players that left Arsenal. Aubameyang left on the free. Kolasinac left on the free. Tierney left on a free. So many players left on the free. So I have issue with that. So Arteta and Roberta, Josh Kroenke, you guys need to go back to the books and remedy this. It's a huge shortfall on our part. Now talking about hijack. Another hijack is happening. You know, Arsenal hijacked the movement of Berechese to Spurs and got him for Arsenal. And somehow, Spurs have been on the road trying to look out for players to sign. They had an introductory discussion with Xavi Simon's agent, and they were looking at going to put a bid for him. And somehow, the Blues, Chelsea, already on the radar. They're going to snap up the signature of Xavi Simons from Leipzig. This hijack thing is becoming a major issue right in the Premier League. Even talking about Hincapi, we also understand that Tottenham were in the race for him. But Arsenal, they're on the driving seat again. So I don't really know what is really happening to. Anyways, now talking about some players too that left the Premier League to seek for greener pastures, things aren't working for them. It's not been sunny for Arnold. Trent Arnold isn't finding it funny with Real Madrid because of the deficiencies in his style of defending against opponents. But I think one thing that Xavi Alonso should do is to find a way to deploy him into another role. But when it comes to defending, Alexander Arnold is not good at all. But when it comes to flinging those passes, those killer passes, he's very good. He knows what he does when it comes to that aspect. So I think one of the things, according to Xavi Alonso, he said there are so many players in the squad, everybody will get an opportunity to play. But look, Arnold, you need to be at the World Cup, so you need to step up your game, start playing consistently well, because if you don't, I will not be surprised if Thomas Tuchel decides to leave you out of his team. Now, I want to talk about Chido B. Martin. Chido B. Martin did something that was going to cost his career. This is a player that would have had the opportunity of playing for Arsenal last season, because the opportunity presented itself. Even when Ateta spoke to him and asked him to chill, calm down, that you're going to get a playing opportunity. I want to blame his parents, especially his father, that was hawking him like a piece of cookie from one club to the other. I have cookies to sell. Do you want to buy? Come and buy my cookie. My cookie is expensive. It's very, very fresh. And today, look at where you have taken the young man's career. Look at his contemporaries having. He's in the first team for United, but today you are under 21. You have been demoted to under 21. So it means that your growth, it is either you find an outlay for a loan. That is not going to help you, because everybody was crying down on Arteta. Oh, you're not playing the academy players. You have, even somebody said you have blood in your hand. You're not playing giving the academy boys opportunity. But how would you have described when he played Ethan Nwaneri at 15 years and 181 days old, and he played Max Dorman at 15 years and 253 days old? He even played Max Dorman faster than Nwaneri, because Max Dorman started playing in preseason and he's been consistent. And Max Dorman is just 15 years old. He played Miles Lewis Kelly before he turned 18. These are the things we are talking about. B. Martins would have had the opportunity of playing for Arsenal when Cowardice was out. What was his name? Gabriel Jesus was out. That we needed a striker. He would have just played up there. As a striker, he would have had his opportunity. But anyways, it is what it is. It's your own making. It's your own telling. You force a horse to the river. You can't force the horse to drink. That's just the problem. Anyways, this is how it's been on this edition of Offside, brought to you by Arsenal Fans Be. Spoken about a lot of stuff. Just go back. Let's get your reactions on the comment sections and know what you think about the fraudulent act of Ruben Amorim. When you look at the fraudulent act of Ruben Amorim, each time these coaches they are looking in a way to navigate their way out of the club side, they start blabbing. Taking from Antonio Conte, Ange, Jose Mourinho. When they want to leave, you see them start misbehaving because they know that once they sack them, they get a big payout. So I will not be surprised if in the next couple of weeks, the Ineos, led by Jim Ratcliffe, decide to wear the big axe on the head of Ruben Amorim. Yes, until then, don't forget to like, to share, to subscribe to our channel as we keep on building a larger community together. Until then, keep it tight. It is the Offside.